I think Intro to Women's Studies is a really fantastic, really challenging course for students who are just coming into this discipline for the first time. But the fact that I also took it with Lorraine Carroll was even more challenging, and just she totally blew me away. It was like getting into this territory I'd never been in before. She was so challenging in the way that she made us talk and to write and to think, and I loved that I loved that she was that challenging. It was never a situation in that class where we could get away with a half formulated answer or a half formulated thought. It was always, you need to give me more. You're not thinking through this question, or you're not thinking through this concept. And I really love that. I felt like I was on my toes, and there was a whole lot more that I was just getting into that I really wanted to learn. And so that's when I decided to become a women's studies major. So being a man in the women's studies classroom, early on in that first class with Lorraine Carroll, I was the only man in that classroom, and it never occurred to me to be uncomfortable. It never felt uncomfortable at first. Certainly, I got called upon a lot by my classmates to answer on behalf of other guys. What do you think of this as a man, or what do you think other guys think of this particular concept? And that was okay for me. I didn't really feel like I could confidently answer on behalf of other guys. I guess I've never felt 100% part of that majority as a gay man. I never felt like I could speak for the straight man position. But the other really cool thing about being a man in the women's studies classroom was the opportunity that I had to just kind of sit back and to observe and to listen, and to just kind of be respectful in that way. There are definitely times in the classroom where you want it to feel like a safe space where folks can talk about their experience as it relates to what we're studying. And there are times if we're talking about sexual assault, or if we're talking about reproductive rights, where I think my position on that issue didn't really have a place in that conversation at that point. And I think it was much more appropriate and much more enriching for me to be part of that conversation as an observer or a listener. When I graduated from women's studies, I went directly to graduate school. I applied to a couple different programs. One in Boston at Simmons College was mostly a kind of theoretical program, and then I also applied to San Francisco State University for a master's in sexuality studies, and that was a more research-based program. And I ultimately went to San Francisco, and I completed a graduate degree there. And I think in comparison to my classmates who came from all different kinds of backgrounds, whether it was science or media studies or other kind of social science backgrounds, I definitely felt like I was very, very prepared to take on that content. And in fact, a lot of our introductory material over the first year really echoed what I'd already been studying here at USM in women's studies. So I felt like I already had a really strong grip on that material, and I think that prepared me much better to just jump right into my master's thesis, into my research project. So since I got my degree, I was really fortunate to do some teaching at San Francisco State as well. I was teaching a couple of classes, Variations in Human Sexuality, which is an undergraduate sociology course that introduces students to sexuality studies and all of the different ways in which human beings express sexuality, and the meaning they attribute to it. And that was really cool. It's a core requirement for students at San Francisco State to take an interdisciplinary class. And so in this gigantic class that often enrolled 600 to 700 students, there are a lot of folks there who are talking about sexuality or being exposed to some of these concepts for the first time. And it was so rewarding and humbling to be on the teaching end of that, right? Because I felt like this is that moment that I was feeling when I was sitting in that first class with Lorraine Carroll talking about sex and gender for the first time, and it was amazing. Why should students choose women and gender studies as a major? I think that students should choose it if they are up for a challenge. This is a really rigorous program, both intellectually and personally. And if what you're looking for is a program that will help you develop strong writing and critical thinking and speaking skills, then women and gender studies will certainly do that. Um, if you're up for the challenge, then this is the program you should choose.